Today I wanted to share a really simple little tutorial of a painting style that I like to do when I'm feeling like I need a refresher, or I'm low on inspiration, or if I just need a distraction from life. All you'll need are a few brushes, your watercolors, some paper, and some acrylic paint. Let's go! First, what I like to do for paintings like this is take a big wash brush and clean water and paint a big weird watery shape onto my paper. Make sure to get it really wet. Then I start to dab in different colors. If you know me, you know I like oranges, pinks, purples, and yellows because I love the sky and the sunset. And guess what? That's exactly what we're painting. The way I really always try to do this is fast, loose, and scratch some of my edges in with my brush, which you'll see here in a little bit. But like I said, don't overwork your paint. Don't try to force it into a certain shape. Just dab it in and let the paint do its thing and see what happens. I think half the fun of painting shapes like this is the variable of what the outcome could be, and not really having a 100% game plan for how your painting is going to look. Something you might know about watercolor is that often you have to follow a set of rules really closely, and that can get old. So mixing it up and doing loose, fun paintings like this, where you go into it without a super solid plan, is fun, and I actually find that it's really inspiring to me too. Once I'm happy with the way my background is looking, I then let it dry completely. This is really important. Let this big old blob dry totally. Go away, go make your bed, go have a snack, come back when it's perfectly dry. Something else I like to do when I'm searching for inspiration is make these fun, loose, dabby mandala style motifs. So that's what I thought I would do here at the edges of my background color. And to do that, I thought I would use my compass to draw these sort of half circle shapes. And I'm just using a liner brush and some navy blue paint to dab in these loose little graphic motifs. I've been painting little graphic doodles like this in my sketchbooks for a long time now. I often find myself painting them when I'm waiting for paint to dry elsewhere on a piece that I'm working on. They're just fun, sort of mindless. You can do whatever you want, and they always kind of turn out neat looking, and they don't have to be perfect. I decided here to do a little mandala at the top and at the bottom corner, again sort of repeating similar motifs. You can do dabs, dots, lines, squiggles, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. This is your painting. Experiment on motifs you like. I've looked at henna, things like that before. You can find inspiration anywhere. After I'm happy with the way my little graphic elements look, I'm going to start to paint my landscape in. And I'm going to paint a layery mountainous landscape. And the way I'm going to do that is by starting off in the background first, and that layer I'm painting in yellow. I plan to sort of work my way through the rainbow of colors, starting with yellow, moving to a magenta color in the foreground. When I do this, I paint the edges of my mountains with the saturated yellow paint, and then I take my brush, clean it off, and with just clear water, drag it across the bottom area of where I painted that yellow, and that sort of makes the paint bleed out to the edge so there isn't a straight line at the bottom of my layer, because I'm going to actually paint over that. After those layers have dried, I'm going to go in with my next color, which is orange, and repeat the process. And you can see every time I go in across the bottom and blend out that orange a little bit so you can't see a harsh line. It's really important to wait until each layer is fully dry before you go in. Otherwise, you won't get those really nice crisp edges at the tops of your mountains. Don't be afraid to go back into your layers and paint over them if you want areas of your mountains to be darker too. Once I was happy with my mountain layers, I wanted to go in and paint some pine trees into the foreground. And when I did this, I sort of thought about where the color was on my layout, and I painted my trees in that same way. So as I painted this larger pine tree, I went from pink to orange to yellow, back to orange, back to pink, just because I was sort of thinking about where the sun might be on that horizon there, and in my mind I kind of pretended that the sun was that really white area there in the background. So in real life, the light would obstruct that pine tree a little bit and make that area lighter. So that's why that area on that pine tree is that bright yellow. I also went through the other layers, and as the pine trees got closer to the bottom, they got a little darker, more of that pink magenta color. It's really easy to paint these trees. All you have to do is take a smaller round brush, draw a straight line for the trunk, and then sort of make a dabby triangle. Use your brush, make different shapes with it, applying different types of pressure, and you'll see that you'll make fun little branches. Once I was happy with my trees, I wanted to paint in some sun rays with some white paint. So I grabbed my acrylic paint. I also got my compass again. Again, you don't need a compass. You can just draw a little circle, use whatever you have around. And I made another little half circle just as a guide. I would suggest though, if you're making art regularly, a compass is a really awesome tool to have, and they're pretty inexpensive. You can get them at every single art store. Then I made a couple little marks and used a tiny ruler to draw some sun rays in with a pencil. After I had my lines in, I took a teeny little liner brush and some acrylic paint. I watered it down a little bit and I painted over my lines. My hand was not steady today. Let me just tell you, oof, I had a real hard time drawing these straight lines. My suggestion is just take your time. They're not going to be perfect. Go easy on yourself. This kind of thing is not easy. Also, you can paint over these. I did a couple layers of my white paint. They're not going to come out perfect the first time, for sure. And you can see that on my paper. There's some transparent marks. You can see where I started and stopped. So don't be afraid to go back over. I think I would normally opt to paint more rays off of the sun just because I really like the way it looks. But man, oh man, my hands were just so shaky today. They were not loving the idea of painting straight lines, so I just went for these few. Again, paint as many as you want. I made sure to let my paint totally dry, and then I went back in and erased my little pencil marks that I had made. And after that, I just did a couple touch-ups, and that is that. Here's the finished piece. I hope that if you guys painted along with me, you got a little inspired, you had a nice distraction, and had some fun. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. See you soon.